Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Some of you might know the Isle of Man is probably my favourite place on the planet. We've been every summer since I was 13, I'm now 21, so we've been there for a long time. We're usually based in the town of Peel, but we've also kind of explored the rest of the island as well, and so I wanted to give you my opinion. I'm not a local, so I cannot give you a local's opinion, but I have been toured by locals, so we've seen the best of the Isle of Man. And so I wanted to share those places with you if you're planning a trip. Obviously COVID is still a thing, and so there are different restrictions in place with COVID. We were over there this summer, so at the end of this video I'll insert a clip explaining what we had to do in the summer with COVID. I'm assuming it's fairly similar, but I'll leave timestamps down below of the different places that I'm suggesting to you and the precautions that are in place currently to get to the Isle of Man COVID related, so that'll be at the very end, so stick around to watch that. But without further ado, these are my recommendations on the Isle of Man. Let's start in the capital, Douglas. If you're flying, you'll probably be fairly close to Douglas, or if you're getting the boat like we did from Liverpool, you end up on the front of Douglas Prom. So there are a few things that I recommend in Douglas. I haven't done all of them myself, but when asking for local opinion, these are things they'd recommend for you to do. The Isle of Man Steam Railway is a really good way to see Douglas and other parts of the island. So it starts in Douglas and then travels up the coast to loads of different places. It's a great way to see the island, especially if you haven't got a car, because I appreciate some people might be travelling as foot passengers and need to work out how to get around. So that's one of the things you can do when in Douglas. You can also have a walk along the prom, look at the Tower of Refuge, which is the thing in the middle of the water. If you have a car, however, there are plenty more opportunities for you. There's the Manx Museum, which showcases some of the island's history. It's a bit more of an interactive museum from what I've heard. It's something to fill a rainy afternoon, because you might realise that there's not loads of things to do in the Isle of Man if it rains, and so I'd recommend going in the summer, in early autumn, late spring. Well, you're less likely to have rain because a lot of the Isle of Man's pull and its beauty and its attractions are outside. Douglas is also a great place if it is a rainy day and you want to go for a bit of shopping. There's really nice restaurants in Douglas and there's loads of hotels to stay in all along the front, so you have a great view. It's not the best beach on the island, I have to say. That might be controversial, but I definitely think there are better beaches on the Isle of Man. But if you're just going for a stroll, Douglas Prom is a great one. There are lots of roadworks there at the moment, just because they're doing things up, but there's a lot of history to the place. So the museum, the Manx Museum, there's the electric railway, there's the steam railway that takes you up the coast, so you can get a bit of a different feel for it. And there's also Summerhill Glen, which we call Fairy Glen. So what actually is Fairy Glen? It's actually called Summerhill Glen, located in Douglas. There are a handful of wide pathways and quite a few steps, so pushchairs are not always advisable. There are recycled chairs dotted around the glen made from old wood, old barrels, metal. But not only that, there are lots of little fairy doors hidden amongst the glen, in the trees with the names of fairies who live there. Kids get a lot of enjoyment out of locating these, especially in the dark of night, because there are loads of different art installations. I'll try and put some pictures on screen here from where we went. There's loads of art installations, neon lights. It's not a scary place to be in the dark, but you can get a real feel of the magic of the place when you see all these little things flying around, especially if you've got younger kids. Oh, it's a fairy. Fairy Glen is a great place, and it really ignites that kind of childhood magic again. It's just north of Douglas, really easy to get to by car, and yeah, I'd recommend Fairy Glen, especially if you've got young kids. It's a really good thing to do kind of later in autumn maybe, if it's not too cold, but it gets dark easier with younger kids' bedtimes. But do check, one, that it's open, and two, that the light installations are on just before you go, just so that you don't show up and it's all dark and not quite what you expected. So yeah, that's the first recommendation for you. Now let's go to Peel. Peel is on the opposite side of the island to Douglas. It's a very straight, easy way to get there, straight along the main roads, especially if you're by car. It's about 20 minutes from getting off the boat to Peel. If you're not driving, there are loads of buses to get you straight to Peel. Peel in Manx I am going to butcher this, but Portnahinchey, maybe. I don't know, I can't speak Manx. The port of the island is a seaside town and small fishing port on the Isle of Man, in the historic parish of German, but administered separately. In Peel, there are loads of different things that you can do. There's the House of Manannan. The House of Manannan Museum was built in 1997, costing £5.5 million, in the partly new and partly old Peel railway station. There's also the Manx Transportation Museum, which was opened in 2002 and is housed in the former Brickworks building near the harbour. The Lease Museum is also in Peel and was established in 1984, located in the old courthouse in East Quay in 2000. The museum is devoted to objects, photographs and documents specifically relating to the town of Peel. The museum now has a large display of TT and Manx Grand Prix racing bikes, on and off-road, and vintage bikes along with memorabilia from the TT races. If museums aren't your thing, then Peel Castle might be for you. Peel Castle is on St Patrick's Isle and is a small island connected to Peel Hill by a causeway. It is thought that the castle was started by Magnus Baraligus and then extended in 1392 to William Liscrope, the first Earl of Wiltshire. The castle is now a tourist destination open in summer. There's a public footpath around the castle as well. Archaeological investigations have uncovered evidence of a cemetery dating to around 550 AD and Norse fortifications. The pagan lady burial was discovered in the castle grounds as a Christian style grave with various goods in the Norse style, including a necklace of beads traded from various countries in Europe and the Mediterranean. No pagan age Viking burial in the British Isles has produced grave goods in such high quality. Peel also has loads of places to go and eat. There's one on the front called Roots that I was recommended to go to myself. There's also Muffins Bakery, which you can smell it from down the street. Every single day it was open when we were there. I was there at least once. Their gingerbread men, I highly recommend. There's also the kiosk down in Peel on the front by the beach on the prom. It's actually where we do our beach mission when we're there, and it's just a great place to go and sit, especially in the sun. You've got the view of the castle, you can hear the sea, you're right next to the beach. It's a great place to meet people. Also, if you're a bit more adventurous and fancy a walk, there's the walk up Peel Hill, which is just by the castle. You can't really miss it, you just go upwards on the other side. There are some incredible views. You can see Northern Ireland and you can see Scotland from the top. We went up on a really clear night this year and it was just beautiful. There was literally no wind and a beautiful sunset as we came down as well. So for the more adventurous of you, there's Peel Hill too. Peel is a very special place and there's loads of places to go and visit. In the same way, if you walk around the headlands, there's the old swimming pool, there's the secret beach that I couldn't tell you how to get to. The old swimming pool is a lot more defined. There's a path going that way. There's loads of things to do in Peel for those who like museums, for those who like food, for those who like the beach, for those who like walking. There's loads to do in Peel and it's one of my favourite places on the island. Actually, it is my favourite place on the island. From the west, let's go up north to the Point of Ayre. The Point of Ayre is the most northerly point in the Isle of Man. It lies at the northern end of Ramsey Bay, 6 miles north of the town of Ramsey. The name Ayre comes from the Norse word of Ayre, meaning gravel bank. Strong currents offshore cause an ever-changing build-up of shingle so that the beach changes shape with each tide. I'm a geography nerd, I love things like this. A tidal range at the Point of Ayre provides excellent fishing from the beach. Visitors are attracted to the gorse and heather which surrounds the lighthouse and merges with sand dunes stretching to the southwest, providing cover for rare wild flowers and forming part of a Manx National Heritage Nature Reserve. A variety of land and seabirds visit the area throughout the year, as do a number of seals. It's a very stony beach, it's quite a windy beach, but it's one that I definitely recommend. There's a lovely lighthouse. It's a great place to go and spend a few hours, go fishing if you want, maybe crabbing. I'm not sure if they have crabs, but they probably do. But you can do it right off the beach, so you've not got to have all this fancy equipment, you can just do it from the rocks. But yeah, I'd recommend the Point of Ayre as well. Now let's go all the way to the very, very south of the island, the Sound and the Calf of Man. Located amidst spectacular scenery, a mile off the southern tip of the Isle of Man, the Calf of Man is a small island extending approximately 600 acres. Now in the care of Manx National Heritage, or the Manx Museum and the National Trust, The Calf provides the ideal destination for birdwatchers to visit, and it is home to a number of species of birds, including a number of seabird colonies and thousands of migrating birds en route. Around 33 species of seabirds breed on the Isle annually, including Manx shearwater, kittiwake, razorbill and shag. Other species normally observed on the island include peregrine, hen harrier and chow. The Calf of Man is accessed by small boat operators running return trips from Port St Mary and Port Erin. Sailings are subject to the suitable weather conditions though, as well as the tide and the availability of the boatmen, and all journeys must be booked in advance. The Sound is at the very southern tip of the island and is one of the most scenic places in the British Isles. Abundant with wildlife and natural wonders, this area is a hotspot for seals, sunbathing on the rocky Kitterland and small rocky inlet. The area is also frequented by dolphins and basking sharks, and the swirling tidal races are popular with adventurous kayakers. Walkers will also appreciate the coastal footpaths, which lead from the Sound to Port Erin, or Spanish Head, Cregnish, or the Chasms in Port St Mary. There is also a cafe with arguably some of the best views on the whole island, with panoramic views stretching across the Calf of Man. Let's head up from the Sound to Port St Erin.
Hi, yeah, editing Laura, it's not Port St Erin, it's Port Erin, and I'm not going to cut it out every time I say it, but I do apologise in advance if you're Manx and that's annoying you. It's annoying me too. It's just Port Erin and Port St Mary. That's the difference, that's why I'm mixed up. Enjoy the rest of the video.
Picturesque Port St Erin is situated southwest of the island. The beach sits in a sheltered bay bordered by the cliffs of Bradda Head to the north. Its soft golden white sand means Port Erin Beach is a firm family favourite. The beach has many facilities such as 2 swimming rafts, ice creams, cafes, kayak hire, pub, fishing at the stone breakwater and the toilets. Access is very easy with lots of nearby parking. Alternatively, you could combine your visit with a steam trip, as Port Erin station is just a stone's throw away from the beach and the promenade. Port Erin makes a great base for walks. To the north, over Bradda Head, leads you to the beautiful Fleshwick Bay. To the south, you walk past the old Marine Biological Station and takes you towards the Calf of Man. The west-facing beach has stunning sunsets and views to the Irish coast and the mountains of Mourne in the distance. Looking up from the beach, you can see the top of Bradda Hill, where you can see the key-shaped Milner's Tower, built in 1871 in memory of local philanthropist and locksmith William Milner. All in all, a great place for a day out. And then this is my final recommendation, the Laxey wheel. This is one of the things that the Isle of Man is famous for. The Laxey wheel was built in 1854 to pump water away from the Glenmore as part of the Great Laxey Mines industrial complex. It was named Lady Isabella after the wife of Lieutenant Governor Charles Hope, who was the island's governor at the time. The wheel is currently maintained by Manx National Heritage as part of the Great Laxey Wheel and Mines Trail. The wheel features today on the reverse side £20 notes issued by the Isle of Man government. This feature of Victorian engineering and ingenuity is the largest surviving water wheel of its kind in the world. The Lady Isabella, as she is known, served the mine for 70 years and also became the island's most dramatic tourist attraction. Watch the almighty wheel turn and climb to the top for panoramic views of Glenmore Valley. Beyond the wheel, take an hour to explore the mine and the trail to the mine ruins to learn about the lives of the Laxey miners. Walking down into Laxey, down to the front, there is also a great restaurant, or a great cafe even, called The Shed, which I was recommended to go to. I went when it was the evening and it was closed, but that's another place that's definitely highly recommended on the island. Now I'm going to hand over to my 2-month-old self, who was heading to the Isle of Man and talk through the Isle of Man restrictions related to COVID. If COVID isn't a thing by the time you're watching this, just skip past this next bit, but I hope you find this useful. So to get to the Isle of Man when we went in summer, and it's not so easy to go at the moment. So before we went, we had to be double jabbed unless we wanted to isolate for a week, which we didn't. And so because we were double jabbed, we were able to apply for a vaccine exemption certificate up to at least 3 weeks before. at least 72 hours before we went, because we needed this, and it takes at least 3 working days to process. And so you got your vaccine exemption certificate, and then up to 48 hours before we were due to land in the Isle of Man, we completed the landing form, the passenger landing form. So when you got onto the island, this had to be checked. You had a QR code. I'd recommend, if you don't have a phone, to print it out, because you go through this and they have to scan it a few times. And then we were through. So we were double jabbed, and therefore we didn't have to isolate. If we weren't double jabbed and we weren't family, we would have had to isolate for a week. And if we were family but not double jabbed, we had to take a COVID test on arrival, isolate until you get a negative result, and then do another test on day 5, which meant that you could then roam the island freely. So they were the 3 things, the 3 different options you kind of really had. I hope it was useful. So yeah, back to my future. And I hope you got something from that. Obviously things do change. This is correct as of uploading, so do keep an eye on the Isle of Man government's website if you're planning on going over to the Isle of Man, because restrictions might be different by then. Yes, I do hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you can take something away from it. I hope you learnt something. I love the Isle of Man. I don't know if you can tell. I can't wait to get back over and explore more of the island. And yeah, if you have any more recommendations, do leave them in the comments down below, and if not, I will see you soon. Bye guys.